Well, my name is Ernesto Arbeláez. I am a biologist and conservationist of wildlife here in Ecuador.
My name is Andrew Martin. I am from New Zealand. I am a microbial ecologist by training. I focus on the tiny microbes that live inside Antarctic sea ice.
My name is Simon Ling, and I have trained as an ecologist, and then I followed that up with much later a master's in forestry and natural resources, which was really education.
I want to refer the answer to a very important program that we manage with the Biopark Amaru about amphibians, about the conservation of amphibians in the Andes of Ecuador. And we use some really important aspect of the biology of amphibians, that is water, because most of these endangered species that we have in the Andes and in the Amazon of the southern Ecuador, they are species that live in water or close to water, and in some stages of their lives, they need the resource of water, and because their ecology, they clean the water.
As I pan out away from the capital, quite quickly you see a radically denuded landscape. So much of our primordial vegetation is now gone. New Zealand has been absolutely inundated by mammalian pests. And what's one of the amazing things about New Zealand is that the plants and animals have evolved in the absence of mammals. How you go about getting rid of those pests, the technology associated with that is important.
The subject that most interests me in the context of biodiversity conservation is really fire. So in the 2019-2020 fire season, we've had some of the most catastrophic fires in terms of concentrated effects on environment and wildlife. So that 2018 fire kept burning for long enough for the environmental conditions to shift into a very bad situation. Climate change, of course, is throwing us a decent-sized curveball. So the way that we are debating and dealing with fire and the policies that we might evolve, I think, is a really important area of discussion, public discussion and research, of course, in Australia.
So these endemic species, in the cultural and social aspects of people, they are interesting formula to develop a process of conservation and of the protection of their habitat. We develop the actions, we develop procedures, and we have really interesting answers from the community, the people, the managers of resources, the laws, and now we have a successful program of conservation of amphibians in the southern regions of Ecuador. Protection of the amphibians, it's important because it's not only in the way of saving one species, it's also in the way of saving all an ecological process that ends good quality of water that is used for humans. So when the humans enter in this frame, the people change the name. Oh, okay, so I need to develop actions to protect the amphibians because I'm gonna place in a safe condition the water that I use. Okay, perfect, let's do. And that's how we get inside. Because if we don't involve people, we can't talk about conservation.
We set up more of these mainland islands. We still keep our prized species on offshore islands. We take a little bit more advantage of the wide open spaces that we've got, continue to engage with the public. The conservation movement will only be successful if you get buy-in from your community. Many Kiwis are interested and passionate about conservation. So the notion of a mainland island is significant because you can capture the public's interest. They can engage with those plants and animals by going through the fence, knowing that everything else is being kept safely at bay. That conservation ethic, the fact that you can have significant interaction with the public, with organisms that are quite often cryptic, they're shy, they're nocturnal. The use of a mainland island to preserve what's left of your primordial biota is a fantastic tool in conservation biology.
One of the big shifts from the first Royal Commission to this one is that cultural burning, so Indigenous burning practices, come to the fore as offering a means of managing the landscape in a different way. That's probably an avenue that I think is worth pursuing, but I am cautious about it. The reason for that is the continuity of Indigenous practices has been patchy. So in some areas, those practices, the knowledge of what was going on there pre-colonially is not known. We don't know what people were doing because of the amount of change that was forced upon traditional societies. But what you can look at in terms of Indigenous practices is how they figure out where to burn and when to burn, and their responsiveness to the vegetation itself. So if you know your patch environmentally, then you can look at the way Indigenous people see the landscape and respond.